Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and the iPhone 15 Overheat Fix is on its way very soon. We'll talk about that along with iOS updates we're expecting, and we're also hearing news about iPhone 16 and much more. This is your weekly Apple News update for the week of October 1st, 2023. Now, Apple is apparently considering a bid for rights to stream Formula One on Apple TV+. They've made a way into sports with soccer and more, and we could see Formula One make its way to Apple TV+. I, for one, would welcome that, as you have to subscribe to their app, but having it all in one place would be really nice. Let me know what you think of that in the comments below. In a recent interview from The Independent with Tim Cook, he said Apple's upcoming Vision Pro headset is one of life's aha moments, saying that once you try it, that is the aha moment that you only have a few times in a lifetime. Tim also said that they're very excited about gaming, and Apple is very serious about it, and it's not a hobby for Apple. So having Apple say that they're pushing forward with gaming, we saw some of that with the iPhone 15 Pro series and the A17 Pro, so maybe they are serious about trying to make it a serious gaming platform. According to Mark Gurman, Apple is working on a rival to Google Search, not just Spotlight Search, but an actual rival, and it's a matter of when they launch it, not if, according to Mark Gurman. Google could certainly use some competition in the space, but Apple has never been particularly successful in anything social or web-based on their website. So we'll have to see how good it is. Hopefully it's not something along the lines of Apple Maps, where it takes years and years to get it right, as Apple Maps is just starting to get really good now. Now, the iPhone 15 series phones with overheating seems to be a big problem for a lot of people. I've personally never experienced it. In fact, I showed before, I record an hour of ProRes 60p video on this phone particularly with an SSD plugged in and didn't have any overheat messages, no problems. It was warm, but it was not super hot. So some people are having this issue, and it appears it's going to be fixed very soon. Apple gave a statement this week to David Phelan of Forbes explaining more details about the overheating issues some are actually experiencing. Apple said, "We've identified a few conditions which can cause iPhone to run warmer than expected. The device may feel warmer during the first few days after setting up or restoring the device because of increased background activity." I've talked about that at length, where when you first transfer everything over, it has to complete a lot of things in the background. It goes through your photos, uses the neural engine to determine what's in them, and much more. They've also said they found a bug in iOS 17 that's impacting some users and will be addressed in a software update. Another issue involves some recent updates to third-party apps. I've mentioned this along with Instagram and some others, which could overload the system. They're working with the developers to fix those issues, according to Apple. Apple also said that the iPhone 15 series actually get rid of heat better than previous models, saying that the titanium frame bonded with aluminum are not contributing factors to the overheating issues. So it seems that they've already calculated for this and accounted for it, and we're just waiting for an update to fix that issue overall. So hopefully this week we'll talk about that more in just a little bit. Now, Apple CarPlay has been a problem for some who picked up their newest iPhone 15. Apparently, those using the cable, plugging it in, sometimes it's just not working properly. I've heard from a few of you messaging me directly saying that this is a problem, and also have seen this become more widespread across the internet. It seems that it comes down to the cable, though. More and more people are actually mentioning that they'll try a different cable and it will work. So if you're having that problem, try the included cable, or maybe pick up a different cable and see if it actually works. Some power banks are apparently not working with iPhone 15 as well. I haven't actually had this issue, but if you want a power bank or cable to go along with the new USB-C port on the latest iPhone 15 models, today's video sponsor, Anker, has you covered. This is the Anker Nano 20-watt charger, which I use all the time. It's super compact, it's easy to carry on the go, and I just use it along with their USB-C cables as well. But if you need power on the go, the Anker Nano Power Bank has a 30-watt two-way fast charging cable that's built in and can charge your iPhone to about 50% in 30 minutes. Just plug it in while you're on the go, and you have 10,000 milliamp hours of power to provide that extra power while you need it. When this is depleted, just plug it in with this cable. You can also charge on the side with USB-C or USB-A. And even more compact is the new Anker Nano Power Bank that's 5,000 milliamp hours. It's got USB-C built in. It just sort of folds away when you don't need it. Plug it into the bottom of your phone, and again, it will charge your phone on the go. You've got the side plug here where you can charge it, or again, charge something else as needed. They all feature Anker's Active Shield 2.0 with dynamic temperature sensors as well, and you can check out Anker's whole Nano lineup for 2023 with a link in the description below. Be sure to check them out there. Now, to go along with some of the issues people are having with the actual heat of the phone, it seems that BMW drivers are complaining on MacRumors forums and Twitter that their NFC chip is no longer working. Typically, you would fast charge, just place this on a charger in the BMW, and it would get extremely hot to the point where it might damage that NFC chip. Now, I've actually noticed that my phones get incredibly hot wirelessly charging in my Audi. They seem to get ridiculously hot. It doesn't matter if it's a 15 or an iPhone 14. With my 14 Pro Max, it was so hot to the touch I could barely touch it with my hand. So for some reason, it gets incredibly hot in the car. I haven't noticed this in Tesla, but some German cars I'm actually noticing this. Let me know your experience in the comments below, but I'm actually not using the wireless charger in my car. Instead, I plug in because it's just too hot. It's incredibly hot, so it shouldn't really be at that temperature. Now that the iPhone has USB-C, which was basically forced upon Apple by the European Union, the EU is now calling on Apple to open up its ecosystem of hardware and software, wanting them to make iMessage open and everything else. That would provide huge security risks, and I don't see Apple doing that, but it looks like that could be the next move. We've heard about this a little bit in the past. I honestly would welcome iMessage being more open along with FaceTime to make it sort of a standard and not have to use apps such as WhatsApp. But let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. I personally don't like to see things regulated that way. I just wish Apple would do some of those things on their own, but maybe they never will. Now, many had hoped for a new red iPhone this year with blue and titanium colors. We were thinking we might get a red as well. However, Apple could release one next year, much like they released a yellow iPhone in 2023. We could see maybe a yellow color. We know you can't anodize titanium in red based on its overall capabilities. However, the PVD coating may be able to be placed on that finish. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But hopefully we'll get some sort of product red edition later next year. We typically get some other color option though. Now, as far as iOS updates, well, based on those overheating issues and also another issue in France where the iPhone 12 series phones are putting out more RF radiation than they should be, it seems that we're going to have an update very, very soon. We could see iOS 17.0.3 as soon as tomorrow, even later today, but Apple really needs to push that out to fix that issue along with the odd overheating bug that people are experiencing. So we could see that as soon as any day this week, and also iOS 17.1 many thought would be out in October. If that's the case, we could see accelerated betas, but typically with early betas, we see them every other week. So I really wouldn't expect that until maybe the 10th of next week or the 11th, where we see iOS 17.1 beta 2. And hopefully Apple brings back many of those new ringtones, allows custom ringtones to work. Maybe they're working on that issue in general or as well. So I don't expect huge changes, but Apple did say that double tap feature on the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and Series 9 Apple Watch should be out in October. If that's the case, we need something like 10.1 and 17.1. So we could see it accelerated a little bit this year. Now, as far as weekly deals, I did want to go over a couple things because the AirPods Pro 2, if you don't need USB-C, are down to $200 or $199. Also, there's discounts on iPads. However, we could see more of those in October. We'll talk about that in a bit. And there's also some other deals on things such as Macs and more. I'll link them in the description if you want to check them out. Now that we have the iPhone 15 launch, Apple's already working on iPhone 16. Now, we know Apple works about 3 years in advance. They're hard at work in the next iPhone, and apparently, according to MacRumors, they have information on the size and weight of the next iPhone. If the information is to be believed, the iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max would be slightly taller, since it's a little shorter this year, and also slightly wider. And instead of having the current display size, we would have 6.3 inch for the Pro and 6.9 inch for the Pro Max size. So we could see something like that next year. That's long been rumored. If they can get the bezels to be smaller, that makes sense. They would also gain a few grams in weight. Also, many are saying iPhone 16 models may drop the current old chip in favor of 2 chips. So instead of next year having an A17 Pro in the base model iPhone, we could have an A18 and then an A18 Pro in the new models. That makes a lot of sense because you wouldn't want to have Pro in a non-Pro phone. So of course we know we're going to have new chips next year, but the way they actually name them I think would make more people happy if they're going to have an iPhone 16 with an A18 processor. Now, we've also been waiting for the iPhone SE 4th generation. We've had this same design for a very long time, a singular camera on the back, and according to a new leak that we're seeing recently, Apple is working on a new iPhone SE based on the iPhone 14 design. But it would have USB-C, would also include the action button that we have on the iPhone 15 Pro models, but also would have one rear 48 megapixel camera. So it would look similar to the iPhone 15, but with a singular camera, a larger lens, 48 megapixels, and USB-C. That makes a lot of sense. They could reuse the overall frame, give us that singular camera, and basically have that updated. But if it does have the action button, I would think it would be out in 2025. I don't think Apple would want people to have the action button when they don't have it on the iPhone 15, but they have it on the Pro. So it could be 2025. There is no release date specifically for that, though. Now, Apple Watch seems to bring a lot of innovation every time it comes out. It seems to be a little bit ahead of the curve as far as the overall displays and other things, along with iPads. And the latest rumor has to do with the Apple Watch Ultra 3 or beyond, featuring micro LED technology. According to a leaker on Weibo, who has actually been accurate before in reporting a yellow iPhone, spatial video coming to the latest iPhones, and many more things, they are actually saying that micro LED displays will be coming to the Apple Watch. So that makes sense. Apple's been working on that technology. They can make small displays first and then move over to the iPhones later. We thought they'd be coming to the iPad as well. And speaking of iPads, it seems there's not going to be an Apple event in October, but rather Apple could possibly release new iPads with a press release. And new iPads could be announced in October. So Apple typically replaces their regular iPad every year with an updated model. We have the 10th generation, we could see the 11th generation, and then a new generation of iPad Air, and even iPad Mini is rumored this time around. So it seems likely, but not big enough for a keynote, just more for press releases. So we could see that in a few weeks. Apple continues to invest more and more into AI and generative AI research. They have a bunch of new job listings open. You can go to their website and see them, but there's tons of new engineering jobs for AI and ML or machine learning. So it looks like they're really pushing this, maybe to go along with that search engine I talked about earlier or something else entirely. Also, Apple was working on AI with a new Apple car, maybe self-driving or things along that line, but according to Ming Chi Kuo, he says they've lost all visibility on the Apple car project. So maybe it's been put on the back burner, or maybe Apple's getting closer to releasing it, or they're just focusing on Apple Vision Pro. So we'll have to see if Apple actually does that. Sometimes they work on things for years and abandon them and revisit them years later. So that's everything for this week's news. We're looking forward to iOS 17.0.3 very soon and iOS 17.1 Beta 2. Let me know what you're looking forward to from Apple next, and if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.